Hey everybody. So I took 4 days off from making videos while I got some work done in my studio. And so many things happened in those 4 days that it's kind of hard to choose what I should talk about. But whatever else I might get to this week, I just have to mention the Charlie Kirk memorial service. So tonight I only have a few minutes. So I'm just going to share a short clip of Trump speaking at that service. And I wish this stuff mattered to his followers, but it matters to me, if nothing else, and I think it matters to a lot of my listeners. And I want to have it up here even just as a record of what's happening. And I can't just let this stuff go by without comment. So what you'll see is Trump explicitly rejecting the words of Jesus at a supposedly Christian memorial service. Now, I saw enough to know that wasn't really a memorial service. It was a bald-faced right-wing Christian nationalist assault on anyone who might dare to oppose the MAGA movement. So I'll eventually talk about more than just Trump's part in that rally. I didn't plan to watch any of it, actually, but I just knew it would bother me. But I saw a few clips the next day and then a few more, and I ended up being far more than bothered by it. I was horrified by it. So my plan is to do a few videos about that rally, memorial service, whatever, but probably not all at once, probably over the next few weeks as they apply to some other topics that I'm going to be covering. For instance, I have a playlist on this channel called Are We Fascist Yet? And I think that memorial service belongs in that playlist. And yes, I do know what I mean when I use that word. And I'm not going to be intimidated by Donald Trump's imbecilic threats to go after something called Antifa, and which is a word that I think is just short for anti-fascist. And as far as I know, no organization called Antifa exists in the United States. But if it does, I'm not on their mailing list. But Trump and Stephen Miller and the rest are mobilizing around that term, even calling it a terrorist organization, I guess, because they're trying to criminalize anyone who engages in anti-fascist activities, which I guarantee, if they have their way, is going to eventually include calling them fascists. But they are fascists, so I'm going to continue calling them that. And I'll continue adding to my playlist explaining why I call them that. And their little brown shirt rally that they disguised as a memorial service this weekend belongs in that playlist. But tonight, like I said, since I've only got a few minutes, I'm going to just play this clip of what Trump said, and then I'm going to talk about it on the other side.
In that private moment on his dying day, we find everything we need to know about who Charlie Kirk truly was. He was a missionary with a noble spirit and a great, great purpose. He did not hate his opponents. He wanted the best for them. That's where I disagreed with Charlie. I hate my opponent, and I don't want the best for them. I'm sorry. I am sorry, Erica. But now Erica can talk to me and the whole group, and maybe they can convince me that that's not right, but I can't stand my opponent.
So that was terrible. I hope you agree. And all these good Christians at the hate rally there laughed when he said those things. And I guarantee someone is going to want to leave me a comment saying, he was just joking. Didn't you hear the people laugh? The fact that people laughed means nothing. The people who were laughing at Trump's statement are the same ones who would have laughed if he might have used the F word in that talk. They're laughing because he's being irreverent. They like his transgressive nature. They laughed because they like that he's being authentic and saying how they feel about the words of Jesus, but they can't say it out loud. So they laugh when Trump says it. And here's my best assessment of what's going on with Trump when he says these things. I mean, I can't get inside his head, but I've observed him a lot. So here's what I think. In the same way that I sometimes mock Donald Trump as a way of exposing his emptiness and his fraudulence, Donald Trump mocks Jesus in that same way for many of the same reasons. I see Trump as an illegitimate ruler who's leading Christians astray. I despise the words of Trump. And I don't want Christians to follow those words. So I try to expose his words for what they are. I think Trump sees Jesus the same way, apparently. He sees Jesus, I think, as a weak ruler. Remember, he's told us he likes the ones who didn't get captured. So, sure, he'll say what he needs to say to curry favor with Jesus' followers, but he despises the words of Jesus. And he doesn't want his followers to fall for those words. And he's done this before, of course. Right after his first impeachment, after the Senate failed to convict him, he attended the National Prayer Breakfast. And he said a very similar thing. He made a mockery of Jesus' words about loving our enemies at a prayer breakfast. This is who he is. He doesn't want his followers to listen to Jesus because then they would cease to be useful to him. His followers are his main weapon against his enemies. So if they started loving their enemies, his entire movement would crumble. All of his ambitions depend on his followers hating their enemies enough to be mobilized by him around that hatred. So once again, just like at the prayer breakfast, in a very public, supposedly holy setting, he mocked the words of Jesus. He rejected the words of Jesus because he can't allow Jesus to have the last word with Trump's followers. So I'm just going to put this out there for any Trump supporters who might be listening. If you consider yourself a follower of Jesus, I just have to ask, are you okay with what Trump said? I'm guessing that you're not. But maybe you've been putting up with this stuff for other reasons. Maybe because Trump opposes the people that you oppose. So now, at this point, can we all admit now that sort of thinking is what's brought our nation to this very dark place that we're in? The only way this gets better is if Christians reject Trump's words and embrace the words of Jesus. People who call themselves Christians put Trump in that office. People who call themselves Christians have intimidated any Republicans who might stand up to him. And people who call themselves Christians laughed when he mocked the words of Jesus at a memorial service. And it's got to stop. So thanks for listening.